Hi everybody, welcome into our Copa Combate preview show, joining you from our Combate Americas studio. Glad you could join us as we get you ready for December the 7th. I am Max Bretos, and I'm well accompanied here by former multiple lightweight champ Gilbert Melendez. What's going on, El Nino?
Happy to be here.
I know, we're happy to be with you as well. And now we do something here a little differently at Combate Americas. Every promotion has a matchmaker, but we never hear from them. But we're changing the rules. We're bringing in our matchmaker, Eduardo Vargas.
Hi guys, glad to be here. Excited to talk about the Copa today.
People know him as Balu as well in the fight game. But we're really excited about this. Let me give you a brief overview of what Copa Combate is all about. 8 men, 1 night for $100,000 in a tournament that takes everyone back to MMA roots. It's all going to happen December the 7th in Fresno, California. If you can't make it out to the Save Mart Center, you can see it live on DAZN starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And this is what's a really exciting proposition when you look at Copa Combate. They're not just fighting for the $100,000, but they're fighting for that monster in the background, the Copa Combate, the largest trophy in combat sports. And Gil, you've had an experience fighting in a tournament. Was it for $100,000?
It was not, but it was very early in my career. 2 fights in one night. Didn't make much, but I did earn a lot of pride and respect after doing that. And that's what these guys are going to do. They're going to go out there and represent their teams, themselves, their country, and they're really going to learn about themselves as a mixed martial artist. 1 fight in a night is one thing, but 3 fights in one night, that is something else.
Yeah, that's the unique perspective that I think this tournament gives. It's not just for the fighter, it's for their country. So if you're from Chile or Argentina, from Mexico, the United States, you have a rooting interest, and you've been the mad scientist here. We're going to reveal the bracket a little bit later on the program, but you've got to be having a lot of fun putting this all together.
I am. We've had a good, our fight department has had a great time looking at this because it's like I said before, styles make matches. And when it comes to tournaments, you don't know who's going to win. You don't know who the new star is going to be. Is the guy that everyone's expecting to win going to really go all the way through and take everyone out? Or is it the guy that nobody knows, like we saw last year with Levi Marroquin, right? So I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
That was the initial Copa Combate in Cancun. We'll show you highlights from that here shortly. Let's get to the rules, because this is pretty unique. And there's some exciting developments that and obviously this is all done for a reason, but what are the rules that we're going to get to prepare yourself for this Copa Combate?
So there's 3 fights in one night, right? The first round is 5 minutes. 5 minutes of going out and giving it all. No elbows, no knees. If you win that, you get to the second round, which is 3 threes, opposed to the 5-minute rounds that we're used to seeing in a regular fight. These are shorter rounds, but again, you get 3 rounds. No elbows, no knees again, right? So it's about getting to that final and doing it the fastest way possible and going out there and giving it your all. And then you get to the finals, and that's 3 threes with elbows, with knees. So now you got full arsenal involved, and you can go out there and show what you really got,
Look, I know when we've talked about this, you've got to temper yourself if you want to win it all. I go, how do I get there? But if you have a 5-minute round to start, this is really exciting from a viewer's perspective. These guys have to go after it.
They have to go after it. Right here in Combate Americas, we want you to put the pressure. We kind of look down on you trying to stall and outpoint it. So these guys they're encouraged to go out there and get after it. So if you can get a knockout right away, a submission right away, get an early lead and maybe sit on it, you'll be successful and you'll be healthy going into your second fight.
Okay, so everyone getting ready to fight for the trophy, to fight for the $100,000, to fight for your country. We're going to introduce you to the particulars, the fighters. We'll also get you to know about the alternates, because that's not a minor detail whatsoever. And we'll also unveil the bracket here shortly. But let's get back to the Copa Combate a year ago. And this is where Levi Marroquin was able to stun the world and lift his hand at the end of the night.
Yeah, correct. Levi Marroquin came in because we had a fighter, Ricky Palacios, that didn't make weight. So, if you don't make weight, you don't fight. And that's just anywhere. That's the first fight you got to get there.
First rule of MMA.
First fight is you got to make weight. Levi had the opportunity, came in as an alternate, an unknown, but a tough kid that was coming out of Mexico. Levi came in, nothing to lose and everything to win, and that's what happened. He came out there and he gave it his all. Came out there, took out his first opponent, fellow Mexican, right, and Carlos El Lobo, and then he came out and fought what was one of the favorites in Marcelo Rojo, took him out as well, and then against the favorite, John Castaneda, right, and he proved to himself that,
It was a tough night.
Yeah, it was a tough night, but the kid did it.
Yeah.
And that's what you see, he's a dark horse winning it.
Yes, and that's a life changer, and certainly Levi Marroquin, to the victor go the spoils. It's helped him, and Gil, we've saw Levi Marroquin in the last Combate Americas fight in his hometown of Monterrey winning. So this is really a springboard for a really successful MMA career.
Yeah, what an opportunity for all these guys to fight on such a huge stage. Copa Combate, representing their country, and the winner gets $100,000, and now, like you said, a springboard in their career. Now you see Marroquin fighting Froggy Estrada on the big stage. He's almost a headliner now. So yes, this is a great opportunity for guys to prove themselves, test themselves, and really learn a lot about themselves as mixed martial artists.
And again, you can see it on DAZN, December the 7th. That's Friday night, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And I think there's so many compelling parts to this. And another layer is this takes us back to MMA roots. And you know, we're all up there. Some of us are older than others. But I remember watching UFC 1, and I remember watching this tournament, and I didn't know what all this was and soaking it all in. It was just this forbidden fruit that you got to do it, but it was this tournament format that really pulled us through. It was unexpected. We didn't know about the fighters. We got to know a little bit. But taking back, you guys remember that? You remember watching that first UFC 1 and what that was like?
Yeah.
Of course. My first UFC was UFC 3. I was in 7th grade, or UFC 4, but I went back and I watched all of them, of course, from UFC 1 all. But what was so interesting about it wasn't just one fight like you see in boxing. It was 3 fights in one night. 3 fights in one night, and you see a guy not only prove himself as a mixed martial artist, but he proves himself against every style. So you can't just be a skilled fighter. You got to be a durable, mentally tough fighter and be able to take on all competitors and all styles. And that's what's so interesting about a tournament-style fight.
Yeah, Campbell McLaren, obviously a big part of the creation of UFC with regards to that, and he's bringing it back here for Copa Combate.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. You know, Campbell's ideas are always getting better and better. Every show, you know, he wants to add more. And you know, we have a saying that they have, which is mucho más acción here at Combate Americas, where it's like we want guys to show and want guys to show up and put on a great fight, right? Like how Gilbert mentioned earlier. We don't like the guys that stall. We like the guys that go out there and basically go out there and give it your all, and you know, you're going for the kill basically. And with this tournament, you're also representing your flag, right? It's like the World Cup. You're representing your soccer team per se. You're representing your country. So these guys want to be the best in Latin America. They want to be the guy that, you know, Chile takes out Argentina, etc.
Yeah.
You know?
And Campbell's pretty brilliant in the sense that a mixed martial arts fighter is allowed to fight 25 minutes a night. A championship fight in some organizations is 5-5-minute rounds, which is 25 minutes. He designed a tournament, a 5-minute round, and then 3 threes, which is 9 minutes, another 3 threes, 9 minutes, which comes out to 23 minutes of fighting. So he's able to design a tournament by using the amount of minutes you can use in a fight for the night.
Crafty.
So very, very crafty of him to be able to do that, to bring back the tournament.
Exactly.
Campbell McLaren's a crafty one. Fighter friendly to a degree, because it's just not going to be friendly. This is going to be a war. And let's hear from our CEO, Campbell McLaren, who gives you the specifics on Copa Combate.
Am I right? Copa Combate, the biggest trophy in sports. Why? Because to win it, you got to win the toughest event in sports. This thing, it's gold. It travels with 2 bodyguards. We don't let anyone touch it. You got to wear gloves to touch it. It's got its own car. It flew out with me from New York, first class. Unbelievable. Look at the size of this, and you'll know why Copa Combate is the most amazing thing you're ever going to see.
Trophies are really nice, and that would look really good in the Melendez Ponderosa, you know, right there with all the hunting items.
Yes, I take that. I definitely take that.
But it's more than a trophy. That $100,000. And I know you've talked to some of these fighters, which we're going to introduce you here very shortly, about what that would mean for them.
Yeah, you know, with this is very life-changing, right? It's $100,000 anywhere to anyone is a lot of money, and not only is it for you and for your family, but you're also thinking about your team. You know, the team that a lot of these guys don't make a lot of money, as Gilbert mentioned earlier. You know, a lot of these guys are, you know, pay as you go, or you know, I'll trade training for teaching classes, or I'll clean the mats.
Wow.
But $100,000 goes a long way. And sometimes, you know, when you're loyal to your team, and you know your team is the one that made you who you are, you want to give back to them. Right, so sometimes these guys will donate new mats or things like that, which we saw Levi Marroquin. You know, he was super grateful to his coach Nino Marroquin, which happens to have the same last name but not related. But he was very, you know, I saw him fighting for his team, you know, and for his country. And when he finished and all that, he's like, I want to help my mom out. I want to get them a house. I want to help my team out. I want to get, you know, new equipment, and that means a lot. You know, it goes a long way. You know, can you put $100,000 away, maybe buy a new car? So a lot of people thinking, no, a lot of these guys want to give back. Some of these guys in Latin America want to do the same.
And it's no secret that these Latin American warriors are overlooked. You know, they really don't have that stage to fight on. And now this Copa Combate It gives them all an opportunity to be on this huge stage under a huge audience that gets to tune in and watch them. And with the opportunity to be out there and win this kind of money, this is some life-changing money for all these people. Yeah. This is for them to springboard into the really, really high professional level, main eventing these shows, like we said with Marroquin. So this is a great opportunity to really just turn it around, put some money in their pocket, invest it into their career, and really take off.
Invest in their career, which also invested into other guys' careers you touched on in their gym, and then maybe there's a kid in that gym because of the new mats, because of the new facilities. That could be fighting for this Copa in a few years.
Great point. We were just in Monterrey, Mexico, and we saw all the talent out there. And we all know that's because of Marroquin and Goyito and what they're doing out there. If you see someone from your hometown do it, all of a sudden you believe you can do it. And especially if they're giving back to your community, putting it out there, it just trickles down.
It's a real big deal. Copa Combate, December the 7th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on DAZN. And that's what they're fighting for, and a big pile of cash. Check.
I'll take the cash.
Bitcoin.
It all depends.
No. It's the money. You're going to get the money. All right, let's introduce you now to the fighters. 8 guys. It may not be one of these who has his arm raised at the end. We'll have the alternates as well, but let's get you started. Beginning with Argentina and Bruno Canetti.
Soy Bruno Canetti, peleador argentino de Combate Américas y voy a pelear la Copa Combate. Arranqué en Argentina ya entrenando muy duro y ahora estoy en el Team Alpha Male entrenando con muchos exponentes del MMA. Hay muy buen nivel, que te exigen todo el tiempo al máximo, así que yo creo que voy a llegar mejor que nunca. Cada pelea me siento un mejor peleador. En esta Copa van a ver un Bruno diferente y mucho mejor que los anteriores. Solamente voy a pelear cada pelea y ver y analizar qué me conviene según el peleador. Vivir en Argentina me hizo un mejor peleador. Creo que el peleador argentino tiene más sangre y más huevos y ganas de ganar que cualquier otro peleador de otros países. El MMA está como ahora en auge de crecimiento y ganar la Copa sería fantástico para las MMA en Argentina.
Argentines are tough, certainly the great boxers of years past. Argentine rugby, if you ever see them play, they give no quarter, take no quarter, and I think that rings true in MMA. And for Bruno Canetti, what certainly should help him here is he comes from a very good pedigree of a Canetti MMA family.
Yeah, Bruno, or Achilles Canetti as they call him, right, I think is one of the most dangerous fighters in this bracket. He has a heavy hand, really strong wrestling, and the guy trains with some of the best teams out there. He comes from Our Town MMA, which is what him and his brother have a team in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And when I got to visit them, the guys were just, they're aggressive. They're aggressive, they're hard hitting, and they're all about fighting. They have a very aggressive style of, you either knock me out or I knock you out. And that's something
right
exciting about Canetti. Yeah, exactly. But he is one of those guys that is very quiet, but he's also very deadly, and I think a lot of it's one of those guys that's kind of like going under the radar in this tournament, that you're not really realizing that if he hits you, you're done.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Canetti, he's a very fit, strong, durable fighter. Trying to carry the torch on for Argentina like his brother did. Very smart of him to make the move to Alpha Male to become well-rounded. So he's training out there with Team Alpha Male, which has guys like Danny Castillo, Darren Alkins, Chan Mendes. So he's out there training with them. He's gaining confidence going into this tournament, thinking, hey, I'm training with some of the best fighters out there. I'm going to have confidence. I can take their punch. I can give a punch. It's going to go a long way, as well as becoming a well-rounded mixed martial artist. Learning the art of jiu-jitsu, learning the art of wrestling. And I think a lot of these guys in Latin American countries, they're fantastic with their hands, they're powerful with their hands, but sometimes they lack in the grappling department. For him to make that move to Team Alpha Male, he's going to be prepared and be a well-rounded fighter for this tournament.
All right, let's go a little west of Argentina to Chile and Pablo Villaseca, another guy to keep your eye on.
Debutar en la Copa Combate es espectacular porque es el evento más importante del año, es el evento que puede cambiar muchas cosas mías, es lo ideal. Si gano, me compraré un terreno y voy a instalar una escuela de artes marciales, va a ser todo mucho más fácil, más agradable y voy a estar más tranquilo. Y la diferencia entre el peleador chileno y el resto de las naciones es que nosotros vamos siempre para el frente y no paramos. Somos agresivos, somos violentos a la hora de competir y eso es lo que van a ver. Para las MMA chilenas, tener un campeón de la Copa Combate sería buenísimo porque van a haber más deportistas que se van a dar cuenta que pueden llegar a cosas grandes y lo vamos a demostrar una vez más. Tener victorias en el extranjero no es imposible y aquí estamos recién empezando y tenemos mucho por delante.
So Via Seca here, Chilean. This is again, this is an entry point for so many South American, Latin American countries to make an impression. He gets that chance here.
Yeah, Via Seca, he's representing Chile. And, sometimes they're trying to prove themselves as mixed martial artists. And to be able to win here in Copa Combate will really rise the Chilean mixed martial arts community out there. Very technical fighters, very methodical, very calculated. Expect him to be calculated in his fight. He's a great striker, vicious, but he's a little shorter. So look for him to use his tactics, his jab to close the distance on the taller fighter and fight in the pocket right there and keep it standing.
When you talk about Via Seca, there's a little glimmer in your eye. I've seen it. We're looking through the brackets.
Campbell, how we said earlier, Campbell had the great idea of earlier this year of not just watching video and highlights of these guys, but going out there and meeting them, seeing how they train, who they are, how they carry themselves. And I thought Via Seca, when I went to his gym, which he owns himself, and he has his girlfriend who's a fighter that works for Combate Americas as well, and he also his teammate Eduardo Cyborg Torres, who fought for us earlier in this year in the Tijuana show. And the guys are just super well-rounded. Like, his wrestling was really good, his striking was really good, just the way they carried themselves. I was really excited to see him. He's very cerebral, as Gilbert mentioned. So he's one of those guys that, yeah, he is a shorter guy. He's always had to fight the taller fighters in that weight class, but he's also fought at 155, and he's gone the distance with all these guys, and he has taken guys out that are bigger and better than him. So, he's a dangerous guy as well. So we don't know where he might keep it standing, keep it on the ground. It's like Via Seca is just one of those guys to look out for as a guy that could take this Copa home.
And you mentioned about the wrestling, and that is certainly, as you look at the format of this tournament, could come in handy. By the way, next time you do a little scouting trip to Argentina, Chile, me and Gil, come on now. Gotta get that passport stamped.
Exactly. I gotta get rid of these 15 pounds I gained from eating so much carne down there.
Oh yeah, you also spent some time in Colombia, which is the nation of our third fighter, John Bedoya.
Pelear en la Copa, de hecho estar en esta compañía ha puesto un poco más de presión, y puesto que el premio también es un gran premio, ¿no? Es algo que intimida pues, a cualquier persona. Esta Copa maneja un formato un poco diferente al que estoy acostumbrado. En la primera pelea es un solo round, entonces digamos que es como matar o morir. Lo que hiciste en ese round ya fue, o sea, o pasaste o te quedaste. Yo creo que mi estrategia es ir a darlo todo en el primer round. Y ya si se pasa, pues ya meterle corazón y alma y físico. Representar a Colombia en la Copa me llena de mucha emoción, demostrar que nosotros los colombianos también tenemos mucho talento, también podemos estar al nivel de los otros países, al nivel de cualquiera, y tenemos mucho que dar. Y aprovechar esa experiencia para darle a la gente lo que quiere, un buen espectáculo y representar muy bien a mi país.
John Ronin Bedoya, he'll be ready to go unbeaten, but we don't know a lot because he hasn't really fought out of Colombia. But one thing we do know is this is going to be a guy who'll tower over the rest of the field at 6 feet 1 inch.
Yeah, when you're that tall, you fight a certain style. You like to fight on the outside. You like to do straight punches. But also in the grappling department, when you're long and lanky like that, you like the triangle submissions. You like the guillotine chokes. You like the Darce chokes because your long lankiness lets you do those kind of moves. So expect him to use it. Why not? Why not? If you're a long guy, you got to be a long fighter. You don't want to be over aggressive in the pocket, but you can still do a lot of damage with straight 1-2s, big teeps down the middle, and of course, if you could threaten submissions from all positions, that is always dangerous.
Outside of the height, what stood out about Bedoya?
Bedoya just doesn't quit. He's a guy that, yeah, his height, sometimes you think it's a disadvantage because he gets taken down, but it's also an advantage because you do want to, guys always think, I got to cut that length. I don't want him to stay outside and kick me or hit me with that jab, so I'm going to take him down. But then when you take him down, the guy's so lanky that he does whatever he wants to do. That's what he's been doing. He's been submitting opponents that take him down because they want to avoid the stand-up with him. So he's one of those guys that, yes, there are a lot of strikers, but then they're all depending on how you want to handle this fight. If you want to take him down, he's one of those guys who can put you out pretty quick.
This is more than an 8-man tournament. We had qualifiers back in September in Long Beach, and one of the winners of those qualifiers, Alejandro El Gallito Flores, one of the most impressive guys in Combate Americas, had his arm raised, booked his ticket to Copa Combate. Let's get a closer look at Flores.
Representando México en la Copa Combate de Monterrey, Nuevo León, México, Alejandro Gallito Flores.
Representar a México para mí significa algo muy bonito, ¿no? Algo muy emotivo, ya que no estoy peleando solo, ¿no? Cargo con toda la gente que está detrás de mi carrera. Es algo con lo que siempre soñé, representar a México, y que mejor que representarlo en el deporte que me gusta, ¿no? El trabajo. No conozco a muchos, ¿no? Sé que es Quintana, que lleva una racha ganadora aquí en Combate Américas, que yo creo que espera todo México y todo Estados Unidos. Sin duda Alejandro Flores contra Andrés Quintana.
Flores 13-1. I know we were Howla side watching that. He was extremely impressive as he took apart yet another opponent.
Yeah, what an impressive fighter. Well-rounded mixed martial artist. One of the most rounded mixed martial artists entering this tournament. He's ferocious with the striking, can come with the punches, can come with the kicks, sets a ferocious pace and tries to break his opponents, but again, can fight off his back, can take you down, and trains actually in Chicago with Mike Valle, but represents Mexico. And that's a very good gym out there, so he's getting that exposure to different looks and high-level fighters that fight on big stages as well. And that's huge going to this Copa tournament, just having different looks, different people on high levels to train with. I think he's one of the favorites in here, and I'm excited to see.
I think most people would agree with that. Juliana Peña also trains up there in Chicago on our
right.
But
Exactly.
Again, the tournament could go so many different directions because of injuries. Something could happen, but I think when you look at the credentials across the board, this guy has to be a cut above.
Every fight that Gallito's come out, he's you don't know where he's going to take it. He's strong on the feet. He's strong on the ground. If they take him down, he pops right back up. And that's not very, you don't see that too much in Mexico MMA is the wrestling, right? A lot of the times it's you think of the striking and the boxing, but this guy, like Gilbert mentioned, he's trained out with one of the best teams out there in Chicago with Mike Valle, right? And our coworker Juliana trains alongside him, but the guy is very dangerous. He comes out and you don't know where he can take it, So I'm excited to see Alejandro, and I think he's one of the favorites that a lot of people are buzzing about.
And that's it. I'm excited to see where you put him in the bracket, which we'll be seeing here very shortly on our preview show. Let's move to the next fighter, somewhat fertile ground of Peru. We're trying to figure out what we know, but we'll get a better idea of how good they are fighting there. The Inca Nation and their representative, it is Marlon Gonzalez.
Soy Marlon González y voy a representar a Perú en la Copa Combate. Bueno, después de la pérdida de mi novia, en mi carrera influyó bastante, ¿no? Porque ella siempre me motivaba, siempre me decía que soy el mejor del mundo, que yo lo puedo todo, y la manera en la que influye es esa, ¿no? Potenciar todo eso. Mi apodo, Dérico 7, es las iniciales de ella, ¿no? Ella se llamaba Erika Débora, la D viene de Débora y Erico viene de Erika, ¿no? Pero en masculino, por eso que yo soy Dérico. Y 7 es porque un 7 de diciembre la conocí y yo empecé mi relación con ella un 7 también, un 7 de enero. Ella falleció, yo la enterré a ella un 7 de marzo, y ahora la copa es un 7 de diciembre. Ella es mi puño y mi fortaleza. Después de esa pérdida que tuve, me dolió bastante, pero tengo que seguir, ¿no? Porque a ella no le hubiese gustado que yo me tire el abandono o tire la toalla. Aprendí que el hombre, mientras más valor tenga, es más fuerte, y ahora estoy más fuerte que nunca.
You'll be able to see Marlon Gonzalez, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, December the 7th from Fresno, California. It is Copa Combate live in English on DAZN. Can't wait to get out there to see all this. And I my friends, don't know a lot about Marlon Gonzalez. We're going to get to know a lot more about him, but what we're hearing is these gyms in Peru are really bringing the noise.
Yeah, he's, we don't know a lot about him. We're going to see a lot of him. But from what we heard from Eduardo and what we've heard on the street is this guy is a specimen. He is in shape. He is athletic. He is acrobatic. He can kick, he can punch, he can do it all. And more importantly, I'll let him elaborate, let Eduardo elaborate on it, but he has a why. He has a meaning to fight. And a lot of times when you have a purpose when you're fighting, that'll take you to the top of these tournaments. So like you're asking, what durability, mental toughness, what else? You have a meaning, you have a purpose to fight, and this guy has a purpose.
I heard El Patron, Alberto Del Rio, did he pick him to win this?
That's what I saw. I saw that he picked him to...
He's got to know something.
Yeah, he
Patron
knows something.
always does.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Marlon was one of the guys that we found on our trip to Latin America and at the tryouts when we went to Peru. We visited about 3 or 4 gyms. This guy shows up late. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to show up late. I thought it was the next day, blah, blah, blah. So he shows up, and the guy was just
Wait, he showed up a whole day late?
No, he showed up late, right? But I don't know if you remember that movie Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme, right? The guy's just the robot.
Like 5 times.
And that's what when I saw this guy, I was like, oh my God, this guy's like a beast, And he reminded me of a lot of our past Copa champ, which was Levi Marroquin, kind of same built, same like humble, very humble, approach, and just came in and during the tryouts was just ripping everyone apart, and he was very impressive. In Peru, I thought, of all the countries, I visited 4 different countries, right? And I think seeing the Peruvians, their tryouts, I really thought that they were one of the most well-rounded ones in regards to striking, Muay Thai, wrestling. So I'm excited to see Marlon. Like I said, and how Gilbert said, he has a purpose. Yeah, the guy came in with a purpose, and he's just determined. He doesn't see himself, getting past the first round. He sees himself just winning it, and there's no other option.
And we'll get to know a little bit more about him. But one guy we know a lot about already, and another guy you probably have to put on that top line of favorites, Andres Bullet Quintana.
Representando los Estados Unidos en la Copa Combate, Andres the Bullet Quintana.
I fight because it's like the purest form of combat. It's just in testing yourself, reach deep down into your soul and make it happen. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I want to prove to myself that I can, and I like going out there and testing myself and competing. My strategy in succeeding in a one-round fight is going out there and whooping some ass. Just how I did. These guys aren't prepared for me. I feel like sometimes I'm a slow starter, so go out there, warm up, backstage, make sure I'm ready, and we're good to go. I've always represented my country. I've always fought against Mexico. I've always fought against different people. It's great. It's awesome. It's amazing representing my country and I'm gonna show why we're the best. There's no hesitation of having 3 fights in one night. I do it all the time in the gym. There's gonna be no difference. A fight's a fight. I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm a bad motherfucker, so I'm ready.
Quintana, guys, another guy went through the qualifiers. They took apart Ghost Pepper here in that Long Beach card. His record is remarkable in Combate, 5-0, 15-2. And regardless of what the record says, you see this guy fight, he's the goods.
Yeah, Quintana's one of my favorites, and I have to not
it's because he represented the United States too. We should say, yeah.
Of course, and that's what I'm excited about. Usually, when I commentate, I can't root for someone. I can't, I can't be biased. But in this situation, I get to be biased because Quintana is representing the U.S. and I happen to think he's a great fighter. He has the striking, he has the boxing. He comes forward, he counters, he drops mean knees, he'll take you down. He can do it all, but most importantly, he comes to fight every time. Right when that bell rings, he's going to come out there and he's going to come at you and he's going to try to finish you.
It's a good social media follow. I've been starting a little bit later. Some interesting stuff. We don't know who you're pulling for because you spend so much time overseas. You're not allowed to. You're going to call it down the line. But what can you add about Quintana, who passes the eyeball test over and over again?
Yeah, besides all the, I think Gilbert pointed out all the qualities that Quintana has. He's a dangerous striker. We've seen him, fight after fight. Not only the stand-up, which, a lot of people consider him having the best technical hands in MMA for Combate Americas. But he's also deadly on the ground. He's finished his last 2 fights. I think in San Antonio, he took out his opponent with a naked choke, and he took out Ghost Pepper very impressively in a round that normally everybody thinks that Quintana's a slow starter, but he took out Ghost Pepper, a guy that dropped from 155 down to 45 in 1 round. And he's a dangerous guy, but what I think is most dangerous about Quintana is his confidence. He's very confident.
Yeah, he's got that.
The guy asked me for a check for $100,000. I think when I first invited him to the Copa. He didn't even want to know who it was. He just said, just write it. It's Andres Quintana. Make sure you write it correctly.
That's awesome.
The guy's confidence is amazing. And I think this is one of those tournaments where, a lot of people see him as the top seeded guy, same as Alejandro Flores. And it's like, does he have that pressure to going into this? Or is it, for him, is it better to go into that tournament knowing that I'm supposed to win this thing?
Yeah, and is he supposed to win it? You'll have to find out. December the 7th, Fresno, California, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, live on DAZN, and so many things can happen. This is the nature of the tournament, and that has opened the door for a guy like Joey Ruquet from representing Puerto Rico. He's going to be in it. Let's get a closer look at our next fighter.
My name is Joey El Cazador Ruquet. I'm Puerto Rican and French. It's great to be a part of what Combate is doing, but I have to know that it is a big opportunity. To me, once we're done training, the real training begins mentally. I'm outside the cage, I'm somebody else, and when I'm in that cage or walking out to that cage, I can completely become something else, almost psychotic. And it's something worth seeing. It's something different. Everyone experiences it differently. Everyone has their own way getting ready for a fight. I have mine, and it's helped me throughout my career. When you go in that cage, to me, it's not a fight, man. It's a life or death situation. I have to win. I have to. You know, I could die. It could be my last fight. I might not be able to see my wife or kids again. So I have to have that mentality. And, you know, I'm not in there to play games. I'm not in there to just fight. I'm in there to win. I fight for bread and meat. If I don't win, I don't eat.
Joey El Cazador Ruquet representing Puerto Rico. We say hello to all our friends tuning in out there on La Isla. And this is a guy who's done well as a bantamweight, featherweight. He can fight, he can brawl, and he's going to take an opportunity here, and he's going to hopefully seize it.
I had the opportunity to see Ruquet fight for the first time against Ceja, and the first time I was able to call a Combate fight, and man, he stole the show. He was just out there being a beast. He's a mean fighter. He doesn't back down for no one. He'll take the center of the jaula. He'll push forward. He'll make it a fight. He'll take 2 punches just to give you one. This guy is a warrior. He's a fighter. He's going to go out there and he's going to put the pressure on his opponent, and he's going to make it a fight right out the gate.
What does he bring to this tournament that may give him an edge over anyone else he might see?
You know, I think with Ruquet, is how Gilbert was saying, he's one of those guys that, you know, we've seen him perform in Combate where he just, you know, whatever you throw in front of him, he'll take on. He's taking guys on short notice. He's taking guys at a little bigger weight class. He's normally fighting at bantamweight, but he has fought featherweight before. And so when we gave him the call, you know, he's like, I'm in shape, I'm ready to go. You know, I'm like, hey, Joey, do you want to know who the opponents are? Doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. And that's sometimes is what's most dangerous, is that all these other guys have known who they're fighting or who's in the tournament, so you can kind of get a glimpse. But when a guy like Joey Ruquet comes in, who has, again, nothing to lose, and he comes in with that aggressive, dangerous style, he will, like Gilbert said, he'll take 4 or 6 punches to give you 2 good ones, and he's dangerous on the top and he's dangerous on the ground. So, you know, Joey's one of those guys that you can't count him out.
And some pretty accomplished training partners as well for Ruquet, as it goes touching on. So this should be pretty cool. He may not want to know who he's fighting, but we'll show you who he's fighting as we unveil the bracket here very shortly. All right, our 8th fighter. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
We whipped through this. Daniel Requejo, representing Spain.
Me llamo Daniel Requejo, soy del Tajinama, representando a España en la Copa Combate. Bueno, aparte de entrenar, que es lo que más me gusta de todo, pues también practico muchos otros deportes, pesca submarina, el submarinismo, la escalada. Soy militar de profesión y me encanta todo lo que hago. Hemos entrenado muy duro y como son varias peleas en la misma noche, pues hemos trabajado en todos los aspectos, tanto en el striking como en el suelo. No sabemos lo que se nos puede venir encima y creo que hemos hecho un trabajo duro en todos los aspectos. El primer oponente que tengo es chileno, que es un hombre que cuando cae por arriba al suelo pues bastante fuerte en el gran pound y bueno, es un tío bastante bueno, pero bueno, eso no nos echa para atrás.
So before we started taping, Balu over here was giving us an education on the Canary Islands, which is where Requejo's from, correct?
Correct.
What's so unique about the Canary Islands?
I'm starting to think that the Canary Islands just breeds MMA fighters.
It sounds like a nice vacation spot.
Dr. Monroe. I don't know if you remember that movie, but I think it's just they just got guys ready to fight.
And he was in the military too. So.
Yes, I think it's like the Sparta of Spain, right? Where it's like guys are just ready to come out and fight. But yes, the Canary Islands is the hub for MMA. We found some of our best fighters that have been fighting Combate out of that area, and some of the strongest teams are located in the Canary Islands.
All right, so if you want a vacation in Spain, you want to pick up a fight, Canary Islands. The Balearic Islands where Ibiza is, that's a different kind of vacation altogether. So Requejo is a guy who comes in, or in Spanish, Spain is a place that's really starting to push MMA a little bit more, and this is a guy who can come in with some credentials that can make a difference.
Yeah, and as we just heard, Requejo is probably sparring every day. He's training with a large amount of fighters out there, people who are trying to prove themselves in Spain, trying to really represent their country out there. What's different about him is he brings a black belt in jiu-jitsu to the jaula. So look for him to use his grappling. Look for him to push his opponents against the cage, but not try to stall, but try to be active, try to pepper them, try to hurt them, try to squeeze in some elbows in there, and look for the right opportunity to use his black belt jiu-jitsu and submit some of his fighters.
All right, so those are the 8 guys in the main bracket. However, we will have 2 alternate fights that will perhaps see these guys at the beginning of the card on DAZN at 9 p.m. Eastern Time out of Fresno on December the 7th. It will be Michael Irazari of Puerto Rico taking on Pablo Sabori of Mexico, Rudy Morales of Guatemala taking on Vicente Marquez of Spain. So these will be on the card, and if these guys win, they'll sit and wait, just like Levi Marroquin did in the first Copa Combate, and we all know how that ended up.
Yep, again, this is what this tournament's all about. Who's the more durable, who's mentally tough, who's going to fight with injuries, who's going to go out there, and who's going to fight bleeding, who's going to just step out of the tournament because they don't have the heart to finish it. And that's where someone steps in and they take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, sit and wait. So what is the communication between you and these guys saying, hey, you're an alternate, but be ready to go? They're going to have a one round. The alternate will be one round, 5 minutes, like the quarterfinals as well.
Yep.
And then they have to see if there's an opening.
Yeah, I think they're all lighting their candles, hoping someone gets injured so they can get the chance to go up front, right? And some of those guys have said things like that to me. You're like, well, I guess I'm excited for this fight, and I'm excited to pray that hopefully someone doesn't make weight. Yeah, or I get that chance. And I think all these guys have a chance. Every single one of those guys have fought. Well, actually, 2 of those guys have fought for Combate, and we're making 2 debuts with Vicente and with Michael. And those guys, they're coming out and they're trying to prove, a point. They're trying to show that they should be in that tournament, that they shouldn't be alternates, but that they should have been part of the 8.
Yeah, one of them might get into the tournament. 2 of them might into the bracket as well. We shall see. It's going to be a crazy, fun night. So without further ado, let's get into the bracket. Let's unveil the pairings for the 2018 Copa Combate. Here they are, starting with Group A. Pablo Villaseca, representing Chile, will face Daniel Requejo of Spain. Bottom half, Alejandro Flores of Mexico will face John Bedoya of Colombia. Winners there, if they advance and are healthy, will meet in the semifinals. Let's go to Group B. Bruno Canetti, representing Argentina, will face Joey Ruquet of Puerto Rico. Bottom half of that, Andres Quintana of the United States, Marlon Gonzalez of Peru. So now the fighters know, we know, everybody knows what the bracket will look like, and you have the 2 alternates as well. Let's get ready to get this started. All right, we've seen that. We've seen it for the first time. We've been waiting so long, I must add. Now we know. So what stood out when you saw the pairings and what's going to roll out?
Well, my goodness. I mean, Andres Quintana being my number 1 pick, and we have Marlon Gonzalez, who is El Patron's number 1 pick. So we might see the 2 number 1 seeds. I don't know, number 1 and 2 seed going together at the first round. That really excites me. And just the country matchups, USA versus Peru, that's huge. Argentina versus Puerto Rico, that's huge. Chile versus Spain and Mexico versus Colombia. I mean, that's all exciting stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was kind of part of the brackets, so I'm excited about all these fights.
You did this. This is your handiwork.
You know what?
Bravo.
No, it's exciting. It's exciting, and bravo to these guys because they're the ones that have come out and put on the show for everyone. And everyone's going to get a gift this holiday, and they're going to get to see the best fighters in Latin America put on a show. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you, but like Gilbert said, the one that really stood out, was Quintana versus Gonzalez. That's a fight that could be a main event. That's a fight that a lot of people, when we threw these names in the bracket, was like, this could be the final. But again, there's all these other guys can take anyone out.
Yeah.
Anyone.
But it's the Marlon Gonzalez. This is what I've taken away from this program and so many other discussions, that this is a guy that we're going to see, a lot of us, for the first time, and let's soak it all in. It's hard. It's easy, I should say, to look ahead and see what the semifinals, but we can't do it because we just don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of it. You never know who's going to get injured, who's going to step up, who's going to do what, and I'm looking here at Villaseca versus Requejo right here. We got a 6'1" fighter against the smaller fighter from Chile, and that's an interesting matchup to me to see how he's going to adapt. A smaller, robust, strong in the pocket fighter against a long, lanky grappler. Who's going to be successful? We both know their game plans, but who's going to be successful and who's going to represent their country? And if Chile beats Spain, that's some huge bragging rights for the country.
Yeah, exactly. Give the Europeans, you give them a little shot.
Something that stood out with what we're talking about is Alejandro Flores versus John the Ronin Bedoya. We saw Alejandro end his fight against Pablo Sabori for the qualifier in a triangle position.
Yeah.
Right? So if he ends up in something like that with John Bedoya in the first round, Bedoya is known for finishing those. He has the body, he has the style, and that's what he loves to do. He likes to have guys wrestle him down, which is something that Flores likes to do. Flores likes to take you to the ground and pound you. You saw at Sabori, he hurt his ankle, but when he was taken down, he wasn't able to secure the lockdown correctly. So he wasn't able, with those like minute and a half left,
live and learn.
He wasn't able to finish the submission. If Alejandro gets stuck like that with Bedoya, that could be a wrap real quickly, just because that's his style and he has the body for it, So that's one of the things that for me is also like standing out. It's like, you don't know. And then we got, hard hitters enjoy Ruque, like how we said earlier. Ruque likes to stand up and bang. And this guy in, Canetti is a power hitter.
Right.
It's like
two bangers are gonna go at it.
It's like that's.
You did your homework.
Yeah.
Right.
and will that training with alpha male, be the difference for Canetti? Will the wrestling be the difference? Will the takedown be the tiebreaker for these guys, or are we just gonna get what we usually get from La Jaula, and that's just two guys going at it and really fighting and proving who the best is out there?
And one note here on the Spaniard, Takejo, he's not coming off the bench of just sitting there and waiting for a call for someone to call him. This guy was training for a fight, and basically to defend his title in Spain. This guy's a title holder in Spain in one of the top leagues out there, and his fight was canceled and he was able to come in. And so the guy's training. He's training. He's not just taking this fight on short notice. He's coming in ready, he's healthy, and he was ready to go 5-5s. He's only going 1-5 at the beginning against a very tough Chilean. So
and it's interesting because he'd be fighting to be Spain, and all due respect to Spain, but now he's fighting $100,000. And I hear the exchange rate's great for Spain too, so good. And he gets the Copa Combate. So you never know. He could be going home a very happy man. All right, prediction time. Are you allowed to? I know these are like your children, so I don't know if you're allowed to make a prediction?
I'm not allowed to.
All right, so Gil, it's all on you.
If I have to make
give me a final, and give me your winner.
Okay, I got the final right here. It's gonna be just like last year. I think we're gonna have Mexico versus the U.S. But I think it's going to be different, though, this time. We got Alejandro Flores representing Mexico. This guy's a stud. Again, Juliana's training partner, one of her friends out there, training with Mike Valle. Wild round of mixed martial arts, exciting fighting, comes forward. But guess what? He's fighting the Bullet, Andres Quintana, in the finals from USA. This is just my opinion. And these guys are both going to come to the center of the jaula, and they're going to give it all for 9 minutes of hell. That's what I'm predicting. As long as no one gets cut, no one breaks a hand in the process, goes out fighting on one arm, one leg, anything could happen. But to me, that would be my dream final, dream matchup. And plus, my ethnicity is Mexican, and I represent the USA. So, I'm a winner regardless if that happens right there, right? But I think that has a main event, a final win all over
I think people would love to see that. But I'll give you a prediction. Expect the unexpected. Sabori versus Rudy Morales in the final. I'm just kidding. Those are the two. It could be.
You never know.
But it's going to get all out of whack. But that's why you got to tune in. December the 7th, Fresno, California, the St. Martin Center. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be a Friday night to remember there. Central Valley in California. But you get to watch it live, 9 p.m. Eastern time on DAZN. We'll all be there. We're obviously marked our calendars. Looking forward. It's Combate Americas. Ends the year with a bang. All right, gentlemen, we'll see you there. All right, short trip to Fresno for all of us.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Very cool. We got to get out of the Combate Americas studio very quickly.
Yes.
We'll get there. And we're going to take the trophy with us.